The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. With your hosts, Joe Bond.
You're awful.
And A.J. Applegarth.
It's Sin Shu Chu. It's a mouthful.
All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, as usual, AJ Applegarth. What's up, man? Welcome to Week 1. We made it. Oh, you're out. You're muted.
Fucking
yes, we go. All right, good start to Week 1. Let's try that again. What's up, man?
Week
We're
1.
here.
Hate you. Already pain in my ass. Anyway, so as I was saying to nobody but myself, yes, I'm glad that we made it. It was a long time coming and a lot of worry and still some worry. I mean, we still don't know if this season's going to make it past Week 1. Knock on my wood desk that it does for all of the 8,000 leagues I'm in. So yeah, we're here, and I'm glad.
Hey, good stuff, man. So we got the Chiefs and the Texans on right now. We'll give you some updates with big plays, touchdowns, injuries, that kind of stuff when they happen. But yeah, we're not doing play-by-play or nothing like that. Thankfully, you guys don't want to hear that. So yeah, so Week 1, we're going to get you ready. Before we get into that, though, make sure you subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Periscope, iTunes, Spotify, whatever you're listening and or watching us on. We appreciate the support. So go ahead and hit those buttons. But I'm ready to drink, man. You ready? Ready to take a sip? So let's do our beer of the week.
Beer.
All right. I'm going heavy. I'm going with a 10%er from Kushwa Brewing Company called Biggest Kush. It is a New England style triple IPA. I'm celebrating the start of the season hard and in style. It's good though, man. I gave it a 4.5 on Untapped. It's just, I don't know, man. It's not like sometimes you get triple IPAs and you're like, oh, that's a bit much. This one's good, man. It's smooth. It's not too like alcohol-y, smelly. Like it's a good quality beer. I like it.
Solid. I myself literally just went to the beer store an hour ago. I did find a triple IPA that don't think I've had yet, but I don't have it cold. So instead, I'm going with your friend and mine, friend of the show, Mr. Dogfish Head 90-minute Imperial IPA.
That's a solid choice.
Solid, yes. I was very happy to see this on the shelf in the fridge part, since everything else I bought is warm.
Fair enough. So,
yeah, that's good.
It's a good one, man. That's a good one. I can't knock you for that one. So, all right. So we're gonna change things up a little bit this year. Try to breathe some life into the show during the season, and we're gonna start with what we call the advice column. So every week, AJ and I and producer Jeff are gonna try to come up with a topic to discuss. Something either that's just kind of, that we want to rant about, but most of the time it's going to be something that will help you all, be better fantasy football players, more than just, hey, start this guy, sit this guy, type of thing. And this week, AJ and I decided to talk about setting your lineup for Week 1. And it seems like a basic, like, what are you talking about topic? But what I'm saying is like, what I see happen a lot, right, is people will draft their teams, right, and they'll get their 8 or 9 starters or whatever it is, right, and those are the guys, those first 8 guys that they've drafted for the various positions. Those are the guys that they automatically just plug into Week 1. No, don't do that. Like, you would never do that in Week 5, right? If somebody's playing the Jaguars or something like that. Like, you need to play that favorable matchup. Now, you're not sitting, I'm just going to throw it out there. You're not going to sit like a Julio Jones because somebody else is playing the Jags and it's a better matchup. Like, no. I'm talking about those like flex guys, the wide receiver 3 type range guys. Like, those are the ones that you can mix and match, and you're going to do it the rest of the year. You need to do it in week 1 too. You need to make the right calls. Start off 1-0 and not 0-1. I mean, AJ, do you agree with me on that, or you just usually play your top guys that you drafted?
Yeah, I do. It depends on my leagues. I kind of feel like I have a combination of both. Some leagues, if I just really like the team that I drafted right from the get-go, I'm putting them in. But I do like playing matchups. Week 1 is kind of hard to justify straight matchups because, you really don't know. Every team's coming into the season 0-0, including everybody's fantasy teams. You could have 9 phenomenal first picks to start your lineup with, and 4 of them get injured. Okay, well, that sucks, but maybe they had not as good a matchup as somebody that you had a later pick on. So, yeah, I think I do. I tinker with it. That's what I do. We just talked about how I tinker with shit. So, pre-show, but I will.
As we watched you obsessively clean your chalkboard back there, that was pretty amusing.
Yes, and the writing is pretty subpar for as high of a buildup as week 1 finally got. So I apologize to the listeners and or viewers. Well, more the viewers than the listeners because you can't see my chalkboard. So, chalkboard is not really in week 1 yet. It's still in the preseason that was never had. But I digress. So,
I've got some scenarios right where I'm looking at like a Devontae Parker or James White or Tariq Cohen or something like that. I could play either one of them in my flex, and I don't know who I'm going to pick yet in that scenario. I've got my rankings out, but they're all pretty close. That's something where I'm going to have to make that call. And look, I drafted Parker ahead of all the other 2 running backs, but I could easily throw James White in there going against Miami, and I think I'll be okay. That looks like a pretty tasty matchup. I don't think Miami's defense got that much better, so I'm not worried about James White having a rough go of it. Those are the types of decisions that I'm talking about. Yes, typically you're just going to start the first, your first 6-round, 7-round guys because those are the guys you drafted first. But those flex type players, those guys can kind of mix and match, and they need to. So, don't just fall into the trap that you have to start your main guys. So that's just what my advice is this week to everybody. We'll get into more, how to set your lineup type stuff later. I'm pretty sure because that's always a big piece of advice to give out. So let's jump in here next and get into some kind of news type stuff. We'll just call it our weekly topics. The first topic is official team depth charts were released this past week, and some of them are very interesting. We'll start off here with the Detroit Lions and their running backs. Now they signed Adrian Peterson, so that was a big change there. DeAndre Swift has been injured most of camp, so I didn't expect him to be number 1, but I sure as hell did not expect him to be running back 4 behind Ty Johnson and Adrian Peterson. This is one of those things where how much are we believing this, AJ?
Well, I can answer your question with a question. Do we really know how injured he is?
No. I think he's back practicing, so I'm not worried about it.
No. Yeah. I was just being a jackass, but yeah, no, that's what we talked about initially when we were, coming up with these topics was why is he that far down? Okay, great. You signed AP, bona fide, should be future Hall of Famer. Yet he's on a new team in a new system. He doesn't know the playbook. And Swift has at least had time to review the playbook, albeit not having time to actually play on the field because of no preseason. and him being a rookie. So I get that, but I don't understand why he was that far down, and I don't have him that far down on the fantasy 6-pack running back depth chart that I updated earlier this week. So go to the site, check it out. We got depth charts for running backs and receivers. Shameless plug. One of the few articles that I do these days. So I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those. He's a rookie. He's got to earn his spot, but I would find it very hard to believe that he's not going to see significant work early on. I know Carrion's the starter. He's going to start game week 1, maybe week 2. Peterson's going to get in the mix because he's a vet. And look, he'll have a limited playbook for AP, but how much of a playbook do you need to give a guy who just goes, here, hand off the ball and go?
Yeah.
Like, that's what he does. That's
I'm going to just
not terribly
run
difficult
through this line.
But hopefully. Yeah, so I'm not buying into that one. Another one that's interesting that kind of caught my eye was Washington, and McKissick, of all people, was listed as running back 1. Gibson was behind him, and then it was Peyton Barber, I believe, and then it was Bryce Love, who is actually, besides Gibson, because I think he's going to get involved just kind of a whole lot of places, passing game, screens, that kind of stuff. I like Bryce Love the most out of this backfield as the pure runner. What do you say?
As a pure runner, I can get on board with that. I personally like Gibson. I think he's got a little bit more of that gadget kind of, je ne sais quoi, whatever. So I can see him getting more involved all over the field. Barber and McKissick kind of know what you're getting with those guys. They're good veterans. They've been in the league for a while. They're just hard-nosed players, and I think they've got a bit of a chip on their shoulder, possibly from not really ever getting a fair shake as starters anywhere. I know Barber was kind of a 1A, 1B scenario with Rojo in Tampa, but he never really fit that mold down there. McKissick's kind of bounced around a little bit himself. I wouldn't be surprised to see week 1, all 4 of these guys really try to get involved because Philly's running defense is not really that good. Yeah. So I think it's like it's a nice week 1 for this group to really kind of almost have a somewhat preseason-esque game.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think they're all going to get involved a little bit. It'll be interesting to see who kind of takes the lead and who really comes out of it. It's one of those backfields where, like, at the very end of the draft, maybe I'll snag Bryce Love. Gibson's going a little too early for my blood. Like, we don't really know what he's going to be. I think everybody likes the potential there, but, like, it's a total shot in the dark, in my opinion, to take him where he's going at this point. So, yeah, we'll move on here. The other depth chart that caught my eye, and Jeff pointed this out, was the Raiders and their wide receivers, all the rookies. Now, of course, we know Daryl Williams done for the year, so that helped. But yeah. I kind of thought that they might just slide Nelson Aguilar in there in front of Bryan Edwards. Nope, they said all their young guys are going in there. So it's Ruggs and Bryan Edwards outside, and then Renfro in the slot. It's interesting. I snagged Bryan Edwards like with my next to last pick last night in the fantasy 6-pack and staff and friends draft that we have. I'll take a chance on him. If he busts, whatever. It's a last round pick just about, so it's not a big deal. But are you surprised to not see Aguilar, Mr. Alligator Arms, in there?
No.
As an Eagle, you know all about that.
No. I still, anytime I think of Nelson Aguilar, I just think of that the one tweet or the video of the one guy just slamming him. It was hilarious. They caught this guy in the middle of a downtown Philadelphia deli, like picking up half-assed cheesesteaks and some beat up hoagies, and then they start talking about Aguilar. It was great.
Yeah.
Not to hate.
Wasn't they talking about like catching a baby from like a fire or something? He was like, "Yeah, I didn't Nelson Aguilar that."
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
It was something just completely absurd. Again, not to completely bash former Bird, but he had his ups and more downs with the Eagles, and I just think he never really lived up to the hype that he had initially when he came into the league. Yeah. So I don't want to use the term well deserved, but just never lived up to expectations would be the nicer way to put it, I guess. So yeah, I like the rookies that they have there. I think they're gonna be a very interesting offense this year. I don't know. We'll see what Chuck's got in line.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they're going to be able to do with that much young, two rookies being the primary targets on offense there for, rookie wide receivers usually kind of struggle. So it'll be very interesting to watch that offense unfold here. But all right, let's move on here. Another topic that we wanted to cover is, handcuffs, running back handcuffs, right? And so we've got the obvious ones, Dallas, Minnesota, New Orleans. Everybody knows you draft the top guy, you got to go after the next guy. As soon as Cook goes down, Madison's almost an RB1 plug-in, like automatic. Pollard right there too. Latavius Murray, same thing. Everybody knows those guys, and they get drafted just based off of being good in general, not always as handcuffs. There's some other situations though where we're seeing the backups not get drafted at all, and the handcuff to me there is very interesting. And I'll start here in Kansas City, the game that we're watching right now. Daryl Williams, man, look, I will admit Edwards-Helaire is looking pretty damn good. So this looks like he's going to be the lead dog there. Daryl Williams can easily perform. And he's only 28% owned in Yahoo leagues. Like I think if you're an Edwards-Helaire owner, like you probably should go and get him more. He should be owned more. Like this is another one. This is like an under the radar handcuff situation that we wanted to point out. So Daryl Williams, I think he caught like a swing route early on in this game and ran it up the field for like 10 yards. Like he's pretty talented. Like in the offense, right? Obviously, like whatever running back is getting the ball here is going to produce. So if he gets the opportunity, then you're going to wish you had him before everybody else jumps on him, if Edwards-Helaire gets hurt.
I think the nice thing with Williams, too, is that last year he was kind of the really heavily trusted back in the mix there. I mean, we came into the season and, Darwin Thompson was everybody's, Darwin the Darling. He came in and everybody wanted a piece of him for whatever reason. He just got all the hype coming in and nobody knew anything about Daryl Williams. Obviously, they had Damian Williams coming off of his fantastic playoff appearances and everything from the year before. And he was okay for the most part last year, but not the same guy. But Williams was the trusted back. He made the plays, just like what you talked about with that little swing route. Okay, not a big deal. It's one play here and there, but it's a combination of continual performance with those same types of plays, and he just performs. So I like Williams a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get a ton of chances last year, but when he did, he was pretty good with it. So, yeah, I think he's somebody you need to keep an eye on there. Another one here. Now he's drafted a little bit heavier, and this is Chase Edmonds in Arizona. But there's still just a lot of guys that I'm noticing. He's 43% owned, but there's still a lot of he needs to be owned more. There's all this talk that Drake can't handle the load. Can he? He's been kind of banged up in camp already, so Edmonds could legit be, a really good backup for you if you're a Drake owner. This week maybe we're not going to see it so much. They're going against San Fran, so it's going to be a tough start to the season for the Arizona Cardinals. But I mean, this is just another one of those situations where he's a handcuff who's going, unnoticed. So, Green Bay, I don't know. I mean, it's Aaron Jones, and then obviously there's Jonathan. What is it? Williams.
Who? Green Bay? No, A.J. Dillon.
They also have Jonathan Williams. No, who's not the other guy?
No, Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams. Thank you.
It's I
was don't know why I kept thinking Jonathan.
What chart are you looking at?
I'm not looking at a chart. That's my problem. I've done this all from
exactly
scratch.
So if you would have gone to fantasy6pack.net and seen the depth chart there, you might have had a better chance.
Yeah. So with this situation here, my opinion is that you want Jamal Williams, and he's got a little standalone value himself. He's gonna catch passes out of the backfield. It's clearly Aaron Jones. Why isn't Yahoo finding him? That's what my problem is. Jamal Williams. What the hell? I'm just gonna go to
spell. Type in Williams.
Well, Williams popped up 500 players, so that didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find his ownership percentage. I'm just going to type in Green Bay. All right, so his ownership percentage is 6%. You mean to tell me he can't be owned in more leagues than that?
Yeah.
And look, I get it. He's probably going to sit on the bottom of your bench, burning a hole in it. But if Aaron Jones goes down, he's probably the guy. I don't really think Dillon's 18% owned, which is quite hilarious.
Yeah. I'm staring at that right in front of me now.
He's been touted all camp by beat writers and everything as the number 3 back. I don't know. If Aaron Jones goes down, Williams has done it before. I don't know if they're just going to hand it over to Dillon. I think they'll both get more work, but I think you'll want Williams more. And I bet if Jones were to go down, you will see Jamal Williams' ownership skyrocket way past A.J. Dillon's, in my opinion. Because people are going to see pretty early on that Dillon's just going to be a plotter at this point. He's going to be a push-the-pile type of guy, a goal line type of guy, which is valuable, if he gets into the end zone. But it's hard to rely on that, too, because you just never know. So the Green Bay situation is interesting. I think if you're a Jones owner, you're just praying that he stays healthy because you don't really want to have to own either one of those guys. And there is 2 of them. So it's kind of we don't know. And the last one here is Pittsburgh. And I know there was a lot of hype for McFarland after the draft, being the next man up. But in reality, the handcuff you want, if Connor goes down, is Benny Snell. He's gonna get the carries. Yeah. And they'll mix in other guys just like everybody else will, but Pittsburgh is one of those teams like a Kansas City that they kind of like to use one guy. And so, Snell may not get the same workload that a Connor would, but he's gonna get a significant chunk of that backfield when, if Connor goes down. So, these are guys, and he's 11% owned too. So these are guys that I'm kind of wondering, the owners of those players, they probably should be owning these guys too. Especially in today's NFL, with possible COVID, right? These guys could go down at any minute, and then everybody's fair game. like unless you are just happen to be checking it when the news breaks and rush over to your fantasy league to grab him, you're shit out of luck this year. Like this is gonna happen fast and furious.
This year is going to be a whole different animal than what we've seen with pickups and people rushing to free agency. I think because we've really been, I mean, in my mind, without sports, yes, I know baseball's being played. Yes, I know NBA is being played in a bubble. Yes, hockey is being played as well. But, I mean, football is the sport. It's the biggest of the four, in normal times, in my opinion. Baseball's close behind, but the baseball season is such garbage this year. I mean, well, not lately with all these ridiculous,
football scores,
Madden scores, basically for baseball. But
that would be MLB The Show. That's cool.
Well, I know, but I don't really play video games, so whatever. I'm going with my knowledge base. And you're the one that said football scores, so there you go. I think that it's going to be just everything. Every game is going to be under even more of a microscope this year as far as people watching and tuning in. So it's just going to add to the fervor of everyone. Just somebody's injured, I gotta go immediately pick them up, and who's on my bench that I can still drop, and they're going to do that. Now, on the flip side of that, people are going to have knee-jerk reactions. And they may drop someone to pick up a handcuff, or next man up player due to an injury, and they may drop somebody who's actually fairly valuable without really thinking about it. And that person could fall into your lap if you're savvy enough and following everybody's transactions closely. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny that league that we were both in, that we drafted on Tuesday night with a whole bunch of Maryland guys and local guys as well. I actually really like the waiver setup that they have, and I didn't even know that you could set it up
daily,
this way.
Yeah.
So it's daily waivers. Nobody's first come, first serve all week long. So the normal waiver runs Tuesday night to Wednesday morning, whatever, right? And then, but every day, everybody's locked until the next morning. So it's waivers, and it's fab, but it's waivers every morning until Sunday. Sunday's everybody's fair game because you want to give people the opportunity to, if they have to make a last second adjustment because somebody got hurt, then you have that availability or that option to do it. But I think that really helps. And I want to try to get that set up in all my leagues because I do like it, because it really does stop this I just happened to be around when the news broke and I was available to do it, where I don't catch it until 3 hours later. Oh, well, crap, he's already picked up in all my leagues because I wasn't around. So I like that. It gives everybody a fair shot at grabbing those, the replacement players that you would get. So that was very interesting. I don't think I'm going to get it implemented this year, unfortunately. Probably the year you need it more than anything, but it is something I want to try to get implemented everywhere if the site allows for it. I know some sites won't, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've got that same setup in a dynasty league I'm in as well, on Sleeper, second year dynasty league this year. So I don't know. I like the first come first serve because that's what I'm used to. Once that initial waiver run clears. But I'm getting more used to this. I didn't like it at first because it's like, oh well, I need somebody. I want to go get this guy and I can't. I gotta wait, or I gotta put in a claim and then see what happens, overnight. But then you wake up that next morning and it's like there's always action.
It's like Christmas morning every morning.
Yeah, it's like
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day. It's just getting all of these ads. So it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, I definitely like it. I mean, I'm no longer the person that can sit there and be glued to all my teams, and I'm in too many teams to be able to hop on and grab the guy every time it's available. Like, so I kind of need it. It's more just this is how it's evolved for me in fantasy at this point. So it's nice. It's a nice change of pace, I feel like. All right, the last topic here that we've got is kind of in the same boat as the handcuffs, but these are just there's players that always go undrafted, whatever, or just they're owned really low. So we chose a 25% or less ownership percentage on Yahoo as a threshold of players to kind of keep an eye on. We're not necessarily saying go out and get them right now. We're saying, hey, if watch it, like see how he does, right? If he's showing some life, then you need to really pay attention to this guy. Maybe even watch the box scores a little bit for him. Watch the games, pay more attention to him when you're watching that game. I'll start here, and my first one is Paris Campbell of the Colts. This guy had huge potential last year. He came out of the draft. I want to say second round pick. We just dealt with injuries all year, and the quarterback situation in Indy wasn't good after Luck randomly retired. So it was just bad all around. Coming into this year, they've got Phillip Rivers. T.Y.'s always banged up, had been in camp already. They brought in, a couple guys. But I still like Campbell's upside here. And he's owned pretty low. I think it was 22% or something like that. I had him pulled up just a second ago, but I closed it. But again, he's not somebody that I'm saying go rush out and get. But he's definitely somebody who I'm interested in. It's 22%, and maybe picking up as or if you've got a spot at the back, you had somebody go on random IR, and you've got a spot, pick him up. Take a chance. Don't just pick the safe guy who's going to get you 4 points every week. That's not going to do you anything. Campbell might get you 0, but he could also be really good, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to keep one of my first 2 picks here because the 2 guys I have listed here are the same ownership percentage at a measly 24. Paris's league mate, teammate, Michael Pittman Jr. Yes, he's a rookie, but I've liked this guy for a long time. I think that he's going to have plenty of opportunity in this offense. And him and Campbell, I think, are both going to thrive with Phil Rivers. And T.Y., we know, is, a weird blade of grass getting stuck in the bottom of his cleat injury away from being out for 17 weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the whole season. You're right. Good listening, people. And the other one is Fitz. I mean, I'm having Fitz. That Fitz is this lowly owned. I don't understand it. I do because
he's just a guy
old.
now, man. That's the thing. But he's just a guy. He has 0 upside, man. He's gonna get you 4 to 5 to 6 points most weeks, man. He's just not a guy you really want.
Possibly,
that's not gonna win you weeks, man. It's just not at all.
And he might not, but if you have studs everywhere else and you have a great
Eric Rodriguez
matchup,
is blowing up our shout out to King Rod. What? I don't know. You happy? I don't know. I'm getting blasted on the chat. I just noticed.
Oh, nice. So yeah, I get that he's just a guy, but with D-Hop in town now, I think it's going to open him up a little bit more. Him and Kirk, but obviously Kirk is much higher owned because youth and talent upside. But I still think Fitz is going to have a couple of weeks here and there where he's going to be startable, on a bye week or something.
Yeah, I mean, they brought in D-Hop, and Kirk's an ascending player. Drake's around. I just, he's a wide receiver 3 on that offense now. It's just not anybody. I'm actually kind of surprised he is 24% owned. I'll be honest with you. But anyway, my next guy here, I've actually got 2, same team. Bryan Edwards and Hunter Renfro, man. I think both these guys. I was huge on Renfro earlier. I've kind of soured on him a little bit because the rookies basically passed him on the depth chart. But Renfro's a slot guy who Derek Carr loves to check down a lot. So Renfro in like a PPR league is like, talk about safe player. He's like money in the bank, man. Bryan Edwards is just massive upside. Thanks to the Daryl Williams that gave him the huge opportunity. But these are guys that I would even go get Renfro now. And I told you I drafted Edwards at the end of our draft. So these guys are these guys are potential, flex type receiver guys that I think you could get for nothing right now. So
yeah. I agree. Sorry, there was some movement in.
You got a rat?
No, it's it's a big bag of like 4 pounds worth of candy that I bought for a piñata that we're doing this weekend.
Gotcha.
And it's like sliding off of the other beers that I bought into the box. Lower and lower, slower and slower. So, anyway, I've got Ryquil Armstead as my next guy here.
COVID IR himself.
Exactly. Yes, he's on the COVID IR. He's only 17% owned, probably because he's on the COVID IR.
And the coach said he'd be out for a while. Whatever the hell that means.
Not good signs. But if your leagues are like mine and Joe's leagues where you've added spots because of COVID for IR and whatever, you have, house money to play with for extra spots.
Freebie.
So why the hell not stash the guy? I was literally trying to draft him in my other league last night just for the sheer fact of you don't have to draft a defense or a kicker in Yahoo. And I wanted to get him and just slide him right over there just to, for the hell of it. But he wasn't labeled correctly in Yahoo, so I couldn't do it. But I think he's going to be
good
the
advice, man.
potential guy.
That. No, I like that, man. I like being able to stash these guys on IR, and I don't really know what Eric is doing. He keeps telling me to shout out to him. I don't know what's happening, man. Anyway, so my next guy, couple teammates here. We talked about Bryce Love and McKissick earlier. These are guys that I think you want to keep an eye on, see who kind of emerges from that backfield. The other guy for that team is Steven Sims. I'm pretty high up on him. I've been taking him in the back end of my drafts lately, and with the injury there to the receiving core with what was his name?
Harmon.
Harmon, thank you. Kept wanting to say Hunter, and I knew that wasn't right. That opened up the opportunity for Sims, and I don't know if you remember at the end of last year, man. He was phenomenal the last month.
Yeah,
4 touchdowns the last month. Like, he was crazy good. So he's a guy who I think has talent, and we'll see. I mean, the offense may be blah, but sometimes there's always these random guys on these crappy offenses that just kind of come out of nowhere and they can be reliable. So he's a guy I would definitely keep an eye on.
Yep. So the next guy I have on my list here is 10% ownership, and that is Mr. Safety Valve himself, Randall Cobb. He's in this game tonight. Again, D-Hop is no longer in Houston. They brought in Cobb to help kind of fill that void, and he's just been a successful slot guy throughout his career. He's a possession guy, so I really like his upside, and he very well could be the leader in receptions for this team. You're looking at everybody that's ahead of him on this depth chart, and you got too many cooks in the concussion kitchen. You've got Will full of shit. He's not going to be on the field. And then you got Kenny Stills, Nash and Young. So I don't know. I mean, Stills has never really amounted to much. He's a boom or bust guy. If Fuller can stay healthy, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Fuller's obviously the guy.
He's the guy.
That's the problem.
And I make the concussion joke about Cooks. I do that in jest because I want this guy to succeed. I think he's a talented player when he is also healthy, and he's he's been on way too many teams in the past umpteen years for his talent. So I just think his career's been derailed by this stuff. But if Cobb can get in there and do what he does, look out.
Yeah, I like Cobb a little bit. Definitely one of those, like, let's just keep a lookout for him. And the last guy, like, I won't talk too much because we've talked about him a bunch, is Jared McKinnon. There's always this kind of a random guy that pops out of the San Francisco backfield. And, McKinnon was signed a couple years ago and just had a lot of injuries. And it sounds like he's 100% healthy right now, looking good in camp. I'm willing to take a shot on him, late. Or, especially after this first game, see if he gets a bunch of work, see what happens. So I like McKinnon as a potential spec ad if we're going to use Richard's term here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to keep it in San Fran with my last guy, and that's Kendrick Bourne. Part of this is more or less because of the injuries that Debo's been dealing with. He's not on the PUP anymore. They got Ayuk, who's a rookie, and he's been dealing with some injuries coming into this week as well. I think the matchup is phenomenal this week for these guys. So keep an eye on Bourne. He's had some really good games, last year as well.
By the way, Edwards-Helaire just busted off a 27-yard run, just juked some people off out of their shoes big time on that play too. That was pretty nice. Edwards-Helaire hype was real, my friends. That was no joke.
Yeah.
All right, let's rip through the injuries here and get to the last part here. So,
nice.
No quarterbacks, thankfully, yet. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Let's try to keep it that way for at least 4 games. Can we do that?
Last year was brutal. Running backs, Damian Harris, after all the hype in the offseason, taking over for possibly Sony Michel, who's now back, is now in the IR himself. Hand injury. The IR this year is different. You can come back, I think, after 3-4 weeks, whatever it is. So it's possibly he could come back. They're not really saying if he will or not. I think Jeff wrote here, JJ Taylor is a spec ad. But there's a lot of mouths to be fed in that New England backfield. I just kind of shy away from it, except for James White, because James White has his role. Like, what James White is. Everybody else is like, so
yeah.
We mentioned Ryquil Armstead. He's apparently out for a while. James Robinson is the starter now because what's his name? Zigbo is also out.
Zigbo just went on the IR
out too.
With the hand issue. Yeah.
And they signed Dare Ogunbowale just recently, like yesterday, I think. Yeah. I mean, I still think the one guy you want in this backfield is Chris Thompson. I don't know. I don't know if I want to really trust any of these running backs who, James Robinson was an undrafted free agent. So, like, not that hasn't worked before. Philip Lindsay's awesome. I think Aaron Foster was one. But it's happened. But, like, I don't know, man. This team just looks like they want to tank. So I'm just not buying it. Miles Sanders, he's been dealing with a hamstring injury. He's returned to practice, but he's limited. I think he's got a fairly good matchup, although that front seven for Washington could be something kind of crazy. They've got a lot of good names up there, but it's whether or not it's going to work. And for Washington, it never seems to work. So, but Sanders, limited. He's been out most of the camp. We'll see how much work he gets early on. They could slow roll it here with him. Boston Scott could see an uptick. So that'd be the guy that I would potentially look at, maybe like a DFS, like real deep, cheap play, I'm sure. You want to run through the receivers here?
Yeah, sure. I was just getting ready to take the reins here. I was going to tell you to shut the hell up and let me talk. It's plenty of fun telling you to shut the hell up. I thoroughly enjoy that. Brandon Cooks, who we obviously mentioned, he was questionable coming into tonight, but he is active. Right there, we have it listed. Randall Cobb, SZN.
Season.
I know.
Okay. Just making sure, man. I didn't know if you were hip like that, man.
I hate the use of season is what's in the notes. So I don't know if that's Jeff. Yes. Well, I am right there with you. So thank you for that. Season is spelled without a Z for those of us who graduated second grade. Jalen Rieger is dealing with a shoulder issue. He did practice yesterday, though. I don't think he should play in week 1 because that should just be the Carson Djax show like it was last year, and probably will be. But you still got Jay Jaw there. You got Greg Ward Jr. Goddard could definitely benefit. And especially, again, if Sanders is not going to play or will be limited, I wouldn't be surprised if this became a pass-heavy game. So all of these guys are going to get involved, and even more so if Rieger's out. You got Mike Evans. So we've got all caps Scotty Miller season again.
Sound like an old man reading that.
So why are we doing this? Because I am an old man.
Yeah, Mike Evans, man. He's scaring me with the soft tissue injuries, man.
The epitome.
I knocked him down my draft rankings like right at the last minute from up. He was 7, I think. I knocked him down to 13. I mean, not a huge drop, but like, you know, he went behind, Thielen and stuff like that. Even like, I'm worried when you hear like soft tissue injuries, and like those don't go away very easily. So
yeah. So Deontay Johnson is dealing with a foot injury. He did not practice. We got Galladay's missing some practice. That is scary, especially for about 90% of my teams.
Yeah, no kidding.
But hey, you know what? If Galladay misses out, it's Marvin Jones Jr. season. You got Amendola season. Hell, you might got Hawk season. Come on, the season for everybody. Cortland Sutton dealing with an AC sprain is very questionable for week 1. And then you got both the PP brothers here and Parker and Preston Williams.
Just dealing with like hamstrings over there, so it's
some ticky tack stuff, but stuff
limited.
To keep an eye
but
on.
Hey, you never know. So I'll round it out here real quick. Defense, we don't usually do defense, but big name here. Obviously, Von Miller out for the year they're saying he might come back, but be real here. Ankle ligament injury. That sounds awful. So I definitely dropped the Broncos defense as soon as I found out that happened. Was like, nah, I'm good. I'll go pick up the Eagles and pick on the Redskins. Or Washington, I'm sorry. That's going to take me a minute. All right, let's round it out here, finish it up here with our week 1 picks. I'll start. So for those who are new to the show or don't remember, we do sleepers. We do quarterback, running back, receiver. We'll do bust, quarterback, running back, receiver. And then this year we're adding a tight end to stream and then a defense to stream. That's not new, but the tight end to stream is new. So start off here with my sleeper quarterback, and it's Bridgewater. He was good last year for the Saints, man. When he played, I know that offense is totally different, but and he's got Mike Thomas there, but he's got DJ Moore, he's got McCaffrey. Good matchup too against the Raiders. This could be like a huge scoring game, honestly, because both defenses are just putrid. So I like the potential there for Bridgewater to really surprise people week 1.
Yeah, I'm going with our boy here, Mr. Tyrod Taylor, Hokies.
Hokies. That jersey, man, that needs to be hanging up.
Do it. I know. I should have wore that tonight. Should have wore that tonight. But it's signed. I don't want to.
Just hang it up and put it on the wall behind you, man.
Get a stank on it. Yeah, no, I will. Once some changes occur, then we will definitely have the row of jerseys. But yeah, I mean, going up against Cincy, I mean, come on. This is a perfect week 1 matchup for him, to just go out there and say, hey, guys, guess what? I can be a starter in this league. Sorry, Herbert.
Yeah, no, I thought about Tyrod myself, but didn't do it. So my running back here is Tariq Cohen. Montgomery is, he had that groin injury. He's now back to practicing in full, so it looks like he's going to be back. But I wonder how much Montgomery is going to get involved, or how much work they're just going to give him right away. Like they might, ease him into things. It's a good matchup this week, so I'm thinking, Cohen could do some big things, catching the ball out of the backfield here. So even though it's Trubisky, sadly for the Bear fans, I'm sorry, Jeff. So, what you got?
Should be Big Dick Nick season in Chicago. Why is it not, Jeff?
Should, man.
Why is it not?
Oh my gosh. He just said Trubisky's going to be a top 10 QB this week. Did you rank him that way on Fantasy Nation? Baller. No. Nice.
Not at all.
Don't back it up. You can't back it up. I'm kidding. All right. What you got?
All right. I am going with Carry On, my Wayward Johnson. I mean, look, I get it. Chicago's got a pretty good defense. But we already talked about Swift being, somewhat demoted for whatever reasons. So I think he's not going to get a lot of carries this week, a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
If Galladay's injured, I think maybe Stafford tries to lean a little bit more on the run, and Carry-On's got something to prove too. I mean, he's got to come back and show that he's healthy and try to take the reins, away from the rookie and the wily vet. So I love his upside this week.
Yeah, I don't know what to think with that Detroit backfield. I really like Swift overall, but Carry-On's probably going to be the guy early on at least, until Swift can get up to speed, it seems like. Even though, honestly, I wrote this down before I knew he was dealing with a foot injury, but my receiver, I'm still going to run with it. I'm hoping he plays, is Deontay Johnson. Big Ben's back. Favorable matchup against the Giants. Their secondary is bad, so I'm gonna go there as my sleeper.
All right. I just did this in the wrong order.
I saw that. I was like,
God, damn it.
That's all right.
Fuck you, week 1. Anyway, all right. So I'm gonna go with. And I'm trying to figure out where we put our numbers here. I'm looking where you got. Okay.
We didn't have our number. I probably deleted them by accident.
No, I feel like it was right around this spot. I'm gonna go with Robbie Anderson actually.
Yeah.
I think you obviously like Bridgewater for the matchup that it is. Usually that coincides with the receivers having a solid matchup. Not always, but DJ Moore is going to get his, I'm sure. But I think Robbie Anderson's going to be utilized, and I think he can shine this weekend.
Yeah, not a terrible one. So my bust is going to be your boy Carson Wentz. And look, it's not anything because I think he's going to play bad. I think it's that the Eagles could get up really early, really big, and it may not be because of him. It might be because of a couple pick sixes or something. Sanders runs one in or something like that. Maybe Wentz will get a touchdown and 200 yards. I mean, you could see that type of game out of him.
Oh yeah.
This obviously has the potential for a 300-yard, 3-touchdown game too, but there weren't a lot of guys up top that I didn't like, so I went with the one that I thought could be a blowout, and not because he did much. But,
I kind of fell a little outside of the top 10 here, and I'm going with Cam Newton. New team, new scheme. I know Belichick, really has high praise for Newton, but he dealt with so much injury-wise, last year and throughout his career in general. I'm not buying into him yet. So, who you got for running back?
Mine's Kenyon Drake. I mean, I know Arizona, figured out how to make some noise against San Fran last year twice.
Edmonds season.
I'm not buying into it. I'm not taking that bet again. I like the offense, obviously, but San Fran's defense is just straight solid, man. So,
yeah,
tough D. That's pretty much the reason.
That was the one I was going to go with. And then I looked at the thing right before I started typing. I was like, son of a bitch. Okay. So I'm going to go with Kamara. It's hard to pick him because I feel like this game could be one of the best games of this weekend, the highest scoring at least. But the Bucs defense is also no joke. I mean, they're very solid up front. So you factor that in with the various off the field issues, and not really issues, but just the various controversy that Kamara's seen over the past few weeks with the contract talks and the sorry in advance, guys, blah blah blah, all that shit, and and then just the ticky tack injuries that he's been dealing with. So I mean, that stuff kind of worries me. I think they will get Murray involved, and don't sleep on Ty Montgomery getting involved randomly. He kind of could fit the new gadget mold for the Saints there. So
interesting. All right, so my receiver, gotta go with my boy Amari Cooper. That was an easy pick for me. Like the Rams defense isn't anything to be scared of, but they do have Jalen Ramsey, and so he's going to shadow Cooper most likely. And I just don't think Cooper is good enough to beat him. So I think they're going to get a Gallup, maybe even some CeeDee Lamb in there more than you're going to see Cooper this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that game and go with my original sleeper with Mr. Cooper Kupp. This is definitely a tough matchup against Dallas. But I've been saying it all preseason here, our preseason shows. I love me some Bobby Trees, Robert Forrest, whatever you want to call him. I just think he's a better option this week.
Yep. All right, man. So let's do our tight end of stream. So these are going to be guys, and we haven't picked our threshold yet. I just went with somebody pretty low owned, and I was really surprised to see Jack Doyle in like the 20% range. Fantastic matchup this week, obviously against the Jags. Philip Rivers, we know, likes to throw to the tight end. Granted, he's had some really, really, really good ones in LA, or, with the Chargers. But yes, Doyle, when he's healthy, man, he's no joke. He's a target hog. He has been his whole career when he's on the field. I think Jack Doyle is going to surprise some people, and I think we're going to see his ownership go up a lot after this week.
I don't know why his ownership was as low.
It's the injury scare.
I mean,
because it's availability.
I get it, but and we talked about it before. Tight end is kind of deep this year, so.
It is.
All right. Let me see here. I had a guy that I liked. I just want to double check the ownership, and yeah, he's too high, of course. I mean, I'll go with Ebron. Why not?
He's getting some hype, man.
Give the guy some love, Not
a bad one.
It's a fairly
going against the G, man.
Decent matchup, I feel like. So I'm gonna give Ebron some love. Keep it with the indie ties.
Yeah, man. All right, so now defense to stream. So Obviously, these guys aren't low owned, but they're not 100% yet. Philly and Indy, they've still got some room to go. I feel like they're the easy like stream picks this week, but not meeting our criteria here because they are well over 50%. The Chargers, man, the Chargers versus Cincy. I think I liked the Chargers defense anyway. I was kind of surprised to see him, so low owned anyway. And they're going against a rookie quarterback in his first game ever without any preseason. Like, yes. I mean, I know everybody likes, Joe Burrow, but let's get real here. It's good. It might be tough sledding a little early on for him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
you got one or?
I do. Yeah. Sorry. I was just savoring one of the last few sips of this 90-minute beer on this less than 90-minute show.
We did it.
I'm going to, yeah, for once. I'm going to go with the Jets. I don't love this pick, but Buffalo, these games, for whatever reason, the Buffalo Jets games to me are just boring NFL matchup. It's division, it's knockdown, drag them out, fight. I just think they're just going to randomly get some sort of a pick six or a blocked kick return for a touchdown, and somehow salvage the day and get you some points. The deep dive, but
yeah, man. Wouldn't have been my first pick. I like the Buffalo offense this week, or this year in general.
Yeah,
but yeah, I thought you might go Tennessee versus Denver with Drew Lock and possibly a hurt Cortland Sutton. That was the one I was also looking at.
The percentage was kind of high on that one.
I went the Chargers. They're 47, so I kind of was going to give it to you this week. It's tough, man. All the good defenses, we don't know yet, so all the good defenses are all taken. So it was kind of like, I'm not picking the Giants, right? I'm not picking the Bengals. Like, those are the low-owned guys. Like, usually we can find some, dumpster dives at this point that are like worth it, but not week one. So I was gonna raise the bar a little bit. So anyway, that's it, man. Before we go though, I want to make sure I give a shout out to our new graphic designer, Crystal. She made the new title bar that you see here, the Fantasy Six Pack Hour, little throwback, video game vibe here, the retro vibe. I love it. It's good work. She's making some more graphics to spruce up a lot of our podcasts here. I'm looking forward to seeing what she's got, because everything else she's made so far has been fantastic. So definitely want to shout out to her here.
Thank you, Crystal.
Making us look good.
We love it.
But yeah, that's it. The score of the game, 24-7, Kansas City routing the Texans. Kind of expected that. I know, right? So
sorry, Bob. Who are you going to drop this time? Watson, week 1 trade.
What?
Bob, Bill O'Brien.
Oh,
Bob doing Bob things.
Gotcha. No. All right. Anyway, that's all we got.
Bob season.
Good luck in week 1. Hit me up on Twitter with lineup questions, whatever you got. Check the rankings, that kind of stuff. So, good luck.
All
Cheers.
Right, cheers.
See ya.
Week 1. Crack it.